Welcome to the Life You're Made For with me, Dr. Heather Penny. We're going to be having conversations that talk about us spiraling up versus spiraling down, because we all want to be living lives that are about thriving, not just surviving. This is the life you're made for. So let's get going. Hello, everyone. I am here with a very good friend of mine and dear old friend of mine, but also a fellow entrepreneur, Jason Squires. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing fantastic. How's it going, Heather?
Good. Good to see your face. For those of you who are watching us, of course, on the YouTube, we get to see us. And clearly you got the memo. We're both wearing black. Jason,
that's how I roll. That's how
keeps it simple, does it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Jason, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Jason Squires, and I am a lover of creatives. I have always loved working with creatives, and so my wife and I launched a company called The Creative Launch, and we spend our days resourcing creatives through coaching, in-person events, doing some stuff online. Just everything we do feeds towards helping creatives have the tools to thrive, and I love getting to do this. You get to do it and call it work and go, this is my day job. This is not a side hustle. It's not like a thing that I hope to do someday, but like I get to spend my time actually seeing the light bulb turn on and giving these guys, there's a reason artists have managers. And so that's where we come in and just go, hey, let's work together and help you be better.
Yeah. I got to ask this question. We were talking a little bit briefly before I pushed record.
Yes.
We're our own bosses, and moving into these spaces of leading and coaching and teaching, I have found that sometimes I am the worst boss that I've ever had. And I'm learning also, I get to manage myself better than probably I am used to. So I guess I want you to speak to that as a fellow entrepreneur. And I think it's helpful to any of our other listeners too, whether you're an entrepreneur or working in a company or just working wherever you're at. Learn how to manage yourself. I think I learned a ton about that from just owning my own company. Can you speak a little bit to that, Jason?
100%. It's like the up and the downside. When you get started in your day, you are in charge of what is getting done.
Yeah.
And there's nobody telling you what to do except when the bills come and you don't have the money to pay them. And so, that's
I don't mean to be laughing, but yes, I know.
You know what I mean, though, where you go, oh, I took too much time off, or but the beautiful thing is that it gives you the autonomy to go kind of dream and do do the thing that you want to do. And I love the rhythms that it's created for my family, and being able to be home. I literally eat 3 meals a day with my kids, and they're homeschooled. And so the thing is not a lot of people get to say that, and I don't say that lightly, but it's like what we're able to do, following our passion, my wife and I following our passions, and creating that family time. It all comes together at a space, and so it's been fun and hard. But the other thing too is when there is a problem, it is your fault. And so, right. And so it just,
you can't point anyone else, can you?
There's nobody else that can make, and that's like it's good and bad, but it makes staff meetings is like a date night for my wife and I, where we sit down together, and I'm working with somebody that obviously my partner in life, and so it's she and I just it works so well that we've been doing this now so long that I can't imagine it any other way, to be honest with you. But it's the way. Not everybody's wired this way. I want to point that out too. Where there are people who should not get into solo entrepreneur life, that might want to, but it's more self-driven than it is, led by somebody. So
what's some of the most challenging lessons you've learned?
What are some of the most challenging lessons?
I'm going straight for the core here, Jason.
You're just going right in. Right in.
Take a dive.
Well, the thing about what we do is, with the Creative Launch, it's content that I've come up with and driven, and the thing is a lot of it's self-taught. Like I'm learning something about myself as a creative, and I'm turning it back around to help others. And so you are you're on display in conversation, and it's not, we don't do the like 3 easy steps to an easy life or a better life. It's more You're more learning about how to be better at what you do. And so when you're teaching that, it's raw and it's it's open and it's not it's a lot of that, which can be emotionally draining, physically draining. And you constantly have to make sure that you're maintaining that. And it's that you're not just teaching something you're not actually dealing with. A lot of people don't think about it with coaches, that coaches are actually dealing with the things that they're teaching and they're
Yes.
working through. It's not just,
Yes.
we don't just go and teach you how to do the point A, B, and C. It's like, no, I actually am doing A, B, and C.
Yes.
I might just be a little bit farther ahead of you than you are, but I'm here to guide you in this process and know that it's a daily fight. And so I think that's with this specific way of a company, the specific thing that we're doing, that is, we're not just selling a product. So it's a lot of introspective and, time away and clearing your head and making sure that you don't get caught up with, as we mentioned before, like the day to day and the things that come with owning a business, but actually keeping what is your passion out in front. And so
I love that you brought that up because you just helped give me the segue to what I want to talk about today.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, my friend. Live it, teach it.
Yeah.
That idea of you're right on. Many people, and I think it's this attempt that I'm constantly saying, what I call kicking the pedestal out from underneath us. We don't just coach and teach it because we like to be in our ivory tower, we like to be on our high horse, or we like to have all the answers. We are coaching and teaching it because we've lived it out. And I would say
100%.
That's what I love about you, Jason. I think that's why we've connected over the years of just our deep values around authenticity. We're not going to tell other people to do it if we're not doing it ourselves. So I guess I want to talk about something that I have practiced myself, and then I put it into a book, which is Grace Space.
Yep.
And it's 7 practices that I started practicing myself as a coach because I saw the world was being so mean to each other, and I just thought we can do better. And this idea of safe spaces is a good place to start, but I think we're ready to evolve to that next level. Safe spaces is like this foundation. And thank you for whoever started it, because we need safer places to have conversations. But grace space is this next level of saying, you know what, you actually can cultivate spaces of grace around us wherever we live and lead, and we can step into those spaces. So I guess I just want to pivot there, and I want to say thank you first for endorsing my book, but let's have
Absolutely.
that conversation of what were some of your initial thoughts as you started reading Grace Space?
So I'm not a reader, and you handed me the book and said, "Okay, can you read it and then give me your thoughts on it?"
Yeah.
And I don't sit down and read. I sit down and listen. Like, I'm more of an audible listener. I honestly couldn't put the book down
Mm,
because I was sitting reading it going, this is so applicable to life, and it's
mm,
so applicable to how anyone, like you said, anyone can read this. It's not just like this is the book for somebody that's doing this. So anyone in any walk of life, in any
mm,
frame of the world can pick up your book and go, this is how I should be operating,
mm,
and this is what I should be doing.
mm,
And so as I was going through it, one of the things that I love doing in coaching and in dealing with people is understanding how they're wired so
mm,
that I can better reach them. And
mm,
so we do that through the 5 love languages and the 3 learning
mm,
styles.
mhm,
So you guys, if you're not familiar with those, the 3 learning styles are auditory, kinesthetic, and visual. So learning by hearing, learning by seeing, learning by doing. And then the 5 love languages are how you receive love or how you
mhm,
receive affection from people.
mhm,
And those those 2 things go hand in hand in how people respond. And I've
mhm,
always loved that because I go into scenarios as a musician
mm,
oftentimes where I have an hour with a group of people before I have to be on stage playing with them in a live scenario.
mhm.
And so I've just met these people. I have 1 hour and then I'm on stage and we're playing together as a band. And I didn't realize
Wow.
how much I was learning in the process over the
Sure.
years,
Mhm,
getting to know people and getting to walk through this process with them.
mhm,
And so when your book came out, I was like, this basically continues the thoughts that I've always had on how to understand people, because people are not inherently evil as
mhm,
much as we might think that,
mhm,
much as they might think that they are. It comes back to knowing who somebody is, and
Mm-hmm.
then giving them grace, giving them
Mm-hmm.
trust, and giving them like one of the seven is questioning versus accusing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the one that probably got me the most, because that comes from how I respond is how you're going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And so how I say something, if I ask versus accuse, then I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that there's more to the story that maybe I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there's not an automatic defense mechanism that comes up from the accusation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always implemented this. I I love the book because it's put words to thoughts that I've had. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why I fell in love with it so much, because I've always implemented this. I mean, with like customer service
Mm-hmm.
in phone calls,
Mm-hmm.
where no anytime you call a customer service number, it's because you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not calling them to say, "Hey, thanks for hanging out and on the phone, and thanks for providing
Yes.
internet." Like, no one does that, right? Thanks
Just
Amazon for
want to
delivering.
tell you what a great job you're doing. That's my
I
customer
just
feedback for you.
It's right. I sat
Yeah.
on hold for 45 minutes just for that purpose, right? And so I have found a long time ago that if I approach that conversation
Mm.
with grace, it's
Mm-hmm.
so much more fun, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the first like 12 seconds you have to break the wall
Yeah.
and let them realize I'm not going to attack you. I just have
Mm-hmm.
a question, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I've started conversations like with them as I've started conversations there with things like, hey, I have a problem. It's not you. You just happen to answer the phone. And so I'm angry at the problem, not at you.
Yes.
So let's just start with that. So, if you hear some emotion in my voice, it's because I haven't had internet for 4 days, and,
Yeah.
my kids are homeschooled and we're trying to get this resolved, type of a scenario.
Yeah.
Um, and the funny thing is they're actually nicer on the backside, and
Yes.
they come back and lower your internet bill, and you live in, I'm not stressed. You're not stressed. That conversation very well could have made their day. And
Yeah.
that's my goal in life. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a long answer to your question, but I
Well,
think
I love it. Yeah.
my space, I
Mm-hmm.
love taking with this book now, taking it and
Mm-hmm.
physically applying it in scenarios, going, it's given me words.
Mm-hmm.
It's given me the words to say, like questioning versus accusing. I've lived that, not
Mm-hmm.
actually putting a frame of reference around it. And
Mm-hmm.
this gives me a frame of reference to actually kind of help propel that message. So
I really appreciate you saying that, because it's exactly my intent. I feel like a lot of this we're doing instinctively. So a lot of us know it. And in our best of days, we're practicing it. In our worst of days, we're totally giving it to our dark side. But I think it's like seven handles I wanted to make sure I gave people that says, you know what, you can pick up that little suitcase when you need it. You can pick up that little suitcase when you need it.
yep,
But focusing on the one that you need to help you create that space, it's like a shortcut that gets you to it faster. And it's also wonderful too when people are accusing you instead of questioning you. You're like, oh, I'm finding myself getting pretty irritated at you because you're actually accusing me instead of questioning me. And it gives you language. I've
yep,
been able to say, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you, but I just keep feeling accused. If you'd like
yep,
to have a dialogue and ask each other questions and get each other's perspective, I think this is going to go much better.
yep,
Rarely have I had people say, no, I just want to stay in a terrible, de-escalating conversation of just everything spiraling down. And this goes to my point I want to make too, of just what you said earlier. Assuming good intent, people want to have a peaceful life. We just often don't quite know how to do it. And then we don't know what to do with our emotions, whether it's, not having
truth,
internet for 4 days, or whether it's your low blood sugar, whatever it is that you're dealing with in your world, not being able to have words around that to say, you know what, I actually have a choice here. As I'm waiting for this customer service rep to pick up this phone and talk with me, I can actually accuse or I can question. I can choose to respond or react to this situation. I feel myself wanting to accuse and react. I want to
yeah,
go off of this person and I want to say, you always have the right to do that. You always have a choice to that. But many of us don't recognize that we have that split second choice. And what I love that you talked about is you're starting to recognize that you have 1 hour to create a space of grace around you between you and the musicians that you got to get up and actually lead and sing with.
Yep.
You have 12 seconds to actually make that deposit into that customer service rep before you step into that. I would just love for you to talk a little bit more about that, because it's something I'm hearing you say that's instinctively that you've lived with this value around a grace space.
Yeah, on the customer service side, like when the phone picks up and they say, "Hey, it's so and so from Amazon, how can I help you?" My first response is, "How's your day going?" And
Mm.
because they have a book of what they're
Mhm.
supposed to say, when these things happen, and kind of wander the conversation, and you can audibly hear a, "Oh, like you actually care about what I," and I
Yeah.
will spend time actually getting to know the person
Mhm.
before I tell them my problem,
Mm.
or before I tell them my package hasn't been delivered.
Mhm.
It's been sitting pending for 3 days. I will say, like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, what it's small talk where it's go like, "I'm a real person,
Mhm.
you're a real person, and, like, my problem actually isn't your fault.
Mhm.
Literally, you did not cause my package to not show up.
Mhm.
And so I could take it out on you, but you've actually done nothing to cause the problem. I'm just projecting my problem on you, hoping you can wave your magic wand and get it fixed."
Mhm. Mhm.
And, when you approach them with that kindness, one, it just feels better. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
nobody leaves a conversation yelling at somebody feeling good about themselves. Like,
Mhm.
you kind of go, God, that was not fun to do, and I didn't like to do
Mhm.
that. But you leave a conversation with where you've shown grace to the other person, you are just gonna feel like, even if I didn't get what I needed,
Mhm.
I didn't do anything wrong. Like,
Mhm.
I have hopefully set their day on a better course. And because the next call they get, they're going to
Mm.
deal with somebody
Mhm.
that's frustrated.
Mhm.
And so I have learned that if you take a genuine interest in the person,
Mm.
they're they're going to take a genuine interest in your problem, and probably fix it
Mhm.
faster. Whether
Mhm.
they realize that or not, their defense mechanism is going to come up if you come at them hard.
Mhm.
And the same thing, and as I show up in a room with a band full, a group of people, there's there is a uh there is already a sense of, like, I'm a good musician, and
Mhm.
I need to show off for this person so that they know that I'm quality. And the
Mhm.
difference between amateurs and professionals tend to be, like, on the professional side, you tend to see more of, like, I'm just here. Like,
Mhm.
I'm here to serve, and
Mhm.
I want to be here, and I want to help,
Mhm.
and I want to, and that is like when maturity kind of kicks in as a musician, and you get to have more fun when
Mhm.
you're up on stage playing music with people who are in a good mood, and know that no matter what happens, you have their back, and
Yes.
you have the best intention for them. And you're not looking down on them, or
Mhm.
and again, some of these things are not just verbal. Some of these things are
Mhm.
how you carry yourself, and
Mhm.
how approach them in conversation. Um and again, we talked about this at the beginning. Like, I'm answering this question not because I've nailed it, but because
Mhm.
when I've been in situations where I can see it on both sides and
Mhm.
go, like, I've not done it well, and I've done it well.
Yeah.
And
We all have,
and s-
right?
so yeah.
Mhm. I love that. And I love what you're saying about that, because I hear you taking full responsibility for your impact on the world, whether it's your family or whether it's your people you're leading with or your clientele or the customer service rep for fixing your internet. I mean, every space you're seeing the value of really being humane.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm wanting to pull out so much in Grace
Yeah.
Space is saying, can everybody join us? It's not just me anymore now, Jason. It's you and me. You're going to
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
part of my Grace Space team here. But
I'm in it. I'm on it.
thanks. Can everyone join Jason and I?
Yes.
And I want to say a shout out to all of you. Many of you are already doing it. This is some really cool shortcuts to get there quicker. And I guess on that note, grace is such a big word. So I'm going to ask you, totally going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
How do you define grace?
how do you define grace?
Mm-hmm.
I think in the context of what we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it is giving the person kind of giving the person the benefit
Mm.
of the doubt, or trusting that
Mm-hmm.
they aren't that they have everybody has the best intention in the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and not I think more importantly, not putting yourself above anyone.
Oh, I love
So
that.
like where you sit
Mm-hmm.
down and we're literally sitting across the
Mm-hmm.
table from each other, and you know this is again, you and I both are
Mm-hmm.
in the same scenario. Not to toot our horns, we've done some pretty cool things,
Mm-hmm.
and there are conversations where you could go, like, everybody has those one-up conversations. Look what I've
Yeah.
done. Look what I've done. Look what
Yeah.
I've done. I've walked on the moon. You're like, and
Yeah.
and they're like, you sit down and go, like, I just want to hear from you. Like, I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on here, and so that is entering the conversation that no one's better than anyone is, I think, in this context, I might would say the definition of grace, as opposed to coming in, like a
Mm-hmm.
bull in a china shop and just, knocking things over, knowing that you are causing problems as you enter the
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Gosh, I love that definition. I kind of heard two aspects of it: assuming good intent and giving people the benefit of the doubt is the way you worded it. And I love that. And then the second one, of course, is we're on the same playing field.
Yep.
And what a powerful example. I just think about if we all really played that out, talk about keeping us more humane. And one of the reasons I really wanted to put this language out there and I want the conversation to grow around it is because I saw people almost not realizing they were getting victimized by their own emotions of being personally offended or feeling rejected or feeling put down or just jumping to conclusions about the other person. Like they're out to get me. I'm like, are they? Or are they just maybe having a bad day?
Yeah,
Or maybe you
exactly.
misunderstood something. Or maybe everybody's just hungry and needs a nap right now. There's all these reasons, but it's like our society is jumping to this very aggressive, almost violent reason of, I'm sure that person meant to hurt me. By the way they're voting and the way they're dressing and the way they
Right.
posted something on social media, they were coming after me personally. Talk about a victimization
Right.
approach. And I think grace space, I tell people all the time, not to be confused with being passive. It's not a passive response to our world. It's still very assertive and very powerful, but it holds a whole nother level of power there that I think we can offer and invite people into. Do you have thoughts on that?
Oh man. Yes. I'm sitting back like I love our conversations, and I'm over here taking notes while you're talking, and I'm it yeah, I think that it you talked about the how the grace has it's not a quiet way of introducing things. It's more
Mm-hmm.
assertive. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that in this context and in this space, you're uh nobody likes somebody who just kind of like, it's fine, whatever, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not in that space,
Mm-hmm.
and carrying on the ability to trust the people that are in front of you, and the people that are around you, um
Mm-hmm.
is a more, I think, more, it's a more powerful approach,
Mm-hmm.
because we all want to be loved, we all want
Mm-hmm.
to be cared for, we all want to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to feel like they're
Mm-hmm.
less of, or less of something, or um beyond, beyond help, or I'm better than you, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever that case is. It uh coming into the conversation knowing that um you are, uh, what I say is important. One of the things we're teaching our kids right now
Mm-hmm.
is that words matter.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have a 12-year-old and twin 9-year-olds, and they're at they're at that age where they're realizing the words that I say, it's not just the words that I say, it's how I say them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you say something and you kind of throw the dart across the room, and like, did you have the best intention in
Mm-hmm.
that conversation when you said that thing? And it's been interesting. Literally this morning we were sitting at breakfast, and I had a copy of your book in my hand. I was looking at the book, and I looked at my daughter, she's 12, and I was like, I think you need to read this. And she was like, I'll read it. And I was like, she loves to read. And
Oh.
I was like, I think you're at a space now that you need to read this, because it's introducing those things to
Mm,
people to go like, I want to live, happier. I want to
yeah.
live,
Yeah.
less stressful. So
Yeah. Well, and I love what you're saying about that too, because I think as my rally cry is being able to say, to your point earlier, we all want to be loved, valued, and heard. We all want
yep,
that. Why aren't we living more that way? With all my fingers pointing back. So several years ago, sitting down and saying, how do I want to create a space around me that people want to live in and that people want to lead with me in? And that's why I use the term living and leading. It's like you can't separate them both. If you're a leader, you've got to live out of your sense of self. If you're living out of something, you have the ability to lead in that too. So I think it's a beautiful synergistic power that we can all hold and carry with us. What I'd like people to do is really start understanding their ability to hang on to that power and to cultivate it. And even it just takes one person. I've seen one person shift a room of 200 or
yep,
more. And my example I bring up in the beginning of the book about World War One on the battlefield, and how the Germans and the British were fighting. And it took one German to start lighting a Christmas tree and start talking, about the fact Christmas is coming. It ceased the fire for at least a day for both
I love,
sides. Isn't
love
that a
that
powerful?
story.
I mean, isn't that a great
I
story? It
love that
actually
story.
happened. It's not like a pretend thing I
Yep.
pulled out of the air.
And then you said they brought in new soldiers. They had to bring in,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yeah. I read the historical account of it just to make sure I was getting it all accurately. And I cited, of course, in my book, but reading that book on that, where this historian was documenting what happened the week before Christmas, where the Germans and the British, they were like, we're over this war and it's Christmas. And it took one person to shift the whole tide. And I guess that's what I want to bring up here.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
That is, be that person.
Mhm.
That's where I feel like is, you can't say that someone else is going to do it. And your I love this application because of thinking about being that one person in like, I'll go into a coffee shop, and the barista, I go to the same coffee shop on a daily basis. The barista and I have become friends, and are we started talking through talking through things in our 45-second interactions.
Mm.
Like, I order my
Wow.
coffee, she hands it to me, and because of kindness, and
Mhm.
because of relationship, and because of consistency, I can be that one person in her life that
Mhm.
she may not know anyone else, or have those interactions later on,
Mhm.
but I am that one person to the one person. And I think,
Mhm.
specifically in today's world, we always look for large responses to things,
Mhm.
where it's like, I'm hoping that this post gets 100,000 likes on Facebook or Instagram, and we're hoping that one step causes a big wave. But I
Mhm.
don't think, you can't think of that in this regards.
Mhm.
It is, I hope that my response today is actually going to better that one person's life in the future. And you
Mm.
don't know if your engagement in that space
Mhm.
is going to, change the course of their day,
Mhm.
potentially change the course of their life.
Yes.
I've been a solo artist for 18 years. I've been
Mm.
doing music and traveling around, and I used to get really bummed when crowds were small. And
Mm.
we go back to coffee shop days, and
Yes. Yeah.
you'd stand up in front, and there'd be, a small crowd in front of you. You'd play some
Mhm.
songs, and they'd and walk away. And I've had more interactions with people in small crowds, where they
Mhm.
go, that one song you played actually made me realize,
Mhm.
whatever, or it helped me through a hard time, or um, what you showed me, and who you were in this moment is helping
Mhm.
me be better. And I'm going to go to bed with a completed day,
Mm.
knowing that I've shifted somebody
Mhm.
towards good, and I've shifted
Mhm.
somebody away from the bad and towards the good. Um and I was really during COVID, when you had to wear a face mask.
Yeah.
everywhere we went. Like I hated not being able to smile at people in the
Mm.
grocery store, or because that's how you can send, like you can look at somebody and maybe brighten up their day just by
Yeah.
smiling.
Yeah.
You know, you make eye contact, you're like, are you mad at me? Are you
Yeah.
happy? Are you smiling? Are you sticking your tongue out? I don't know what's happening behind your face, man.
Yeah.
So when the
Mhm.
masks came off, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I was even feeling like, I'm
Mm.
not engaging with people in the same way because I can't see them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's all about being the one,
I love it.
100%.
Be the one. Be the one. I think as we wrap up, you mentioned this a little earlier, the fatigue that can kind of come at us. And it's not just with entrepreneur, right? It's being a parent. It's, living with people. It's just trying to get your grocery shopping done, whatever it is that you're facing that day. Sometimes it's hard to offer grace. And I think you and I both know we got to refuel. So
Yep.
what do you do to kind of fill your own cup before you can pour it out and offer to anyone else?
I have learned that busyness is my Achilles heel. Like
Mm,
it is. I'm able to, when I get busy is when I get scattered and I start being surface level
mm,
with what I'm doing.
mhm,
And I have in the last couple years gone through a process where I have determined what my why is, meaning why am
mm,
I here and what am I doing and what's my goal in life.
mhm,
And I have now filtered all of my interactions through that.
mm.
So if you were to look at my schedule, you would go, "Does he do anything? Like, does he, like, he doesn't have a, he's an entrepreneur. He is lives, he has a family of 5, lives in California, and is self-employed and has no guaranteed income. And yet they somehow
Yeah.
pay their bills, and it's understanding, like, I am
Mhm,
only doing the things that I know will fuel me, and I'm only doing the
mm,
things that I know will uh serve my purpose as
mhm,
and as the director of the creative launch, and just me as a human. And
mhm,
that has really, it's given me the ability to say no to things where I'm like, that would literally just drain me. Like
mhm,
I can't
mhm,
explain it, but that would just, by
mhm,
me doing that, I will be physically drained and not as productive in
mhm,
as what my goals are over here.
mm,
And it's walking through that process, and it's a longer than just a short answer, but has been has helped me stop and realize. And the last thing I would say
mm,
is solo days
mm,
are something that I've implemented in the last year, and that is getting away from the day to day. So
mm,
being in Sacramento area, Southwest is amazing, and I will get on the first flight to San Diego. So we go to San Diego. So Southwest gets us some great flight deals. I
mhm,
take the first flight out and the last flight home, and
mm,
I will go to San Diego. I am out of my
mm,
circle. I'm not going to run into anyone.
mm,
I'm not gonna get distracted by, I need to go to Costco and do some grocery shopping. I need to go
mhm,
meet with somebody, and I can just spend a full work day. So like
mm,
9 a.m. to like 8 p.m., like a long day,
mhm,
and be 100% by myself, clear my head, and help actually um, fuel the next season for us. And so I
mm,
do that about probably every 6 to 8 weeks, and it is one of the best things I've ever started to do.
mm.
And I come home every time refueled, re-energized. I've gotten a lot of work done where I normally wouldn't have, and
Yeah.
a lot of future planning and stuff like that.
Mhm,
And so I call it a solo day, and it is, I
mm,
mean, from anyone from leaders to creatives to
mm,
past to whoever's listening, like
mhm,
that is something that, for at least for me and hopefully for
mhm.
you, would refuel where you're at and help you be the best version of you.
I love it. I think that's a perfect place to end. Thank you so much, Jason. It's so fun having you on, and you're right. We could
Yes.
we could talk all day.
I
And
mean, it's how we, I mean, good cup of coffee and I'm good to go. I mean,
yeah, I may jump on that San Diego flight with you, and we both get a lot of work done, huh?
I'm in. I'm in.
Got to bring our chaperone though.
It's true. That is true.
uh, Jason's wife, Casey, is also my assistant. And we always joke that she's our chaperone because our creativity knows no bounds. She ropes us back in and reminds us what is possible, what is probably not really feasible.
Exactly. She's amazing. And somehow she does it with two people. She's done it with me for a long time. And she's now doing it with two of us. And she's killing it.
She's killing it, is right. We love Casey. We're Casey's number one fan club over here.
Absolutely. I'm making shirts. I'm making shirts for the Casey fan club.
Count me in, man. I'll wear one. All right, my friends. So good having you. Thanks so much for just sharing your wisdom and your insight. And I look forward to our next adventure together.
Absolutely. Me too.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We had such a great time today. And obviously, we are all stepping into this life that we're made for. But isn't it nice to have a little bit of support along the way? If you want to find out more about the life that you're made for, come find me at heatherpenny.com. Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a review. That really helps us out and helps spread the word. You get to step into the life that you're made for. Cheering you on.